Hello everyone, Dan Hook here, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about pacing in your story. Now excuse my poor lighting, the sun's being a little bit strange today and I have waited a little bit before recording and it's kind of, I don't know, if I leave it too late now it's going to get dark and I won't be able to do the video at all. But yes, pacing. So, what is pacing? It is the speed in which someone reads your book, how you read your book and how most people read your book. And for certain scenes you want your pacing to be fast, and for other scenes you want it to be slower. So if you're writing an action scene and explosions are going on, people are running, you don't really want slow pacing, because if the pacing is slow for the scene, it doesn't feel very actiony. I mean, it can be done sort of, but really for an action scene you want it to be fast paced, action packed, everything's moving very quickly, and you get the action paragraph done with. So for example, if your action scene, you've got a character running and they're getting chased and, you know, gunfire's getting closer to them and then suddenly a building on the left of them blows up, you don't really want to say gunshots were getting closer and then to the left of me an explosion happened to a 13th century building and the granite pillars underneath it gave way. You can do that. That sounds very nice. It's very descriptive. And obviously the more description you give to, say, the building blowing up, the less you're focused on your character running. And for me at least, it starts to slow it down. So to do that building, that 13th century building, the granite pillars falling down, you say, an explosion happened to the building on the left, causing it to collapse in front of me, or whatever. Just very short. You don't really need to explain that it's 13th century. Maybe mention the pillars, but you don't need to go on what it's made out of as such. I think, oh, it's gone a bit dark, sorry. So for me, if you really wanted the 13th century building, and you wanted to write that in, I would put that in before this action piece. In another part of the book, I would have written and discussed about the place and how it's got old buildings and the pillars are made of granite or whatever. So when it comes to a fast-paced action piece, you don't need to touch upon it again. You can just say, one of the old buildings exploded and the pillars collapsed, etc. You don't need to go into great detail about what it looks like exactly. Because I feel like if you do that whilst the action is going on, it can really take away from the fast pacing of it. But, you know, it still can be that. I mean, there is obviously a balance. You obviously don't want it to be completely the other way. But for me, yeah. Try and describe things as best as you can before you get to the main event, where you focus obviously more on the character running and escaping and less on the descriptions of the buildings and everything that's happening around them and such. But obviously, there are some scenes, emotional scenes, scenes of tension, where slow pacing works better and you want to sort of drag it out a little bit. Slow down the readers, get them in suspense and not just whiz through a certain paragraph. So for example, a character makes his way around the left side of a building. I don't know why there's all these left sides, but just go with it. Or you can make it right. Okay, the character goes around the right side of an old building. The crunch of his boots against the dead leaves on the ground breaks the eerie silence. Not perfect, okay, but even in that little snippet, the pacing is very much slow. I mean, it's just a guy moving. It's very quiet, a bit tense, and the only sound is his boots crunching dead leaves. So it's not fast-paced, it's very slow. I guess to make that more fast-paced, you say, the guy walked with leaves breaking silence. A little less tension, but a bit more fast-paced, and you know, it really depends on the whole paragraph or thing that you're writing. So with the slow pacing, descriptions are good, building up tension, taking it nice and slow, whereas obviously action pieces, you know, more fast-paced. I mean, it's really to do with, you could still have descriptive stuff for the action piece, but it's very much the words that you choose, because obviously all readers are different, but you want the majority of them to be able to read that specific paragraph smoothly without having to stop. And that very much comes into sort of words that are used. So do your readers have the prior knowledge to read that paragraph smoothly enough? Or is it something like I mentioned before, like that you need to explain it before they kind of get to it? And then of course the actual words that you use. So obviously sometimes it is nice to use bigger words, fancier words, but if you do that and the reader does not know the word and you're supposed to be fast paced or it's a really tense scene or whatever, whether it's slow or fast paced actually, if the reader doesn't understand the word, they're going to have to stop and research the word and see what it means, or they're going to keep reading and not really understand exactly what's going on. which neither options are good. Obviously, you don't want to simplify your writing too much, but especially for me, I want the majority of people to be able to read my book without them having to stop and look up a word to see what it means, because obviously it's going to interrupt the story, you know, you're going to break them halfway through a chapter. I'd very much rather replace my words with everyday common words that everyone's going to understand, and hopefully they can just enjoy the chapters a bit more, and it won't break, obviously, the fast, slow pacing sections that I have. So yeah, that's it really. Pacing. Fast pacing, slow pacing, each have their place. Again, a lot of it is to obviously do with your actual scene. Sometimes fast-paced scenes can have descriptive words. Sometimes it's better just to skip them out and give that knowledge prior to the action scene, along with the sort of words that you use. So, you know, if someone's getting chased, you don't want to then just insert a huge word that you know, but your writers do not, because it's just not going to help anyone. People won't understand it. Yeah, are there any tips that you use in regards to pacing that I could have completely missed out? Feel free to drop a comment in the section below. Cheers for watching.